Okay, welcome everyone. Today's topic is tactics and hacks for real estate hot markets, identifying hot markets. And we have the privilege to have Frank Montro tonight with us. So welcome, Frank. Thank you for joining us. Frank has over 36 years of experience in real estate, and he's been ranked among the top brokers. So Frank, having said that, welcome. And then, so you can let's get the ball rolling.
Well, thanks. Hugo had asked me to put together a list of some of my favorite areas on the South Side that I've been dealing with over the years. And I have put together a list. I've ranked them. I tried to get 10 in, but you know, there's just, I have so many favorite areas that I stopped at, I think I cut it off at 12. So I'm going to read my list. Coming in at number 12 is actually like a conglomeration because they're all like in the same area. Archer Heights, Garfield Ridge, Clearing. That is always a rock steady area near the airport, very, very solid. Values have retained and gone up over the years. Number 11 is a sleeper, Kenwood. Kenwood's fed off of the Hyde Park area, the Woodlawn resurgence, the Gap area resurgence, the Bronzeville resurgence. That's just a spillover of all of that. So my number 11 pick is Kenwood. These are areas that I'm talking about that you can't go wrong if you pick the right house at the right value. If everything else works out fine, and we'll get into all that stuff. I'm just giving you some choices of what to look for if you're looking on the South Side. Number 10, of course, is the perennial favorite, Hyde Park. Hyde Park is very, very expensive, but it does offer some affordable condos. And every time we get a condo in Hyde Park, especially near the university, it sells overnight. But when you're looking at single family homes, they're up there, you know, up near $1 million and more. But the returns are great and it always sells. And Hyde Park's, as long as the University of Chicago is there nearby, Hyde Park is going nowhere. And it's just an amazing subdivision, a conglomeration, like the perfect mix of races. It just shows that everybody can get along and at a high level. So I love Hyde Park, and I put it in number 10. Number 9 is Pill Hill, and the reason why I rank it a little bit higher than Hyde Park is because it's more affordable, and it's slightly undervalued right now. So that is a solid area, and all of these areas you can Google online, and they'll show you the maps of the area, the boundaries. So if you're thinking of investing on the South Side, by all means, you know, Google this and you'll get the boundaries. Number 8 is Avalon Park. It is super hot, and we've always done extremely well at Avalon Park, and values are creeping up. The nice thing about the South Side in general is it's undervalued. You know, you hear about all these areas up on the North Side that are taking terrific shifts downward because they've just been allowed to go crazy. Investors have been setting the values, and the values have been going above what the average medium income is for the area. So consequently, you know, the values are shifting down on the North Side in some areas dramatically. Where are we? Number 7, South Shore. So South Shore took a beating when the market crashed in 06, and it's really making a strong comeback. Great area to invest in. One of my favorites, always has been. Next is Calumet Heights, which is basically an extension of Chatham. Another great area, solid over the years. Number 5, Woodlawn. Man, Woodlawn is just exploding. The values, it's crazy. I mean, prior to the crash, that area was undervalued. I mean, it was how homes were trading in the 200s. After the crash, it immediately doubled, and now I've seen homes going for 700,000 over there. It's crazy. I mean, there's values that are higher in Woodlawn than they are in some of the surrounding communities, like Bronzeville, where you would think that they would be higher. So I like that area a lot. Where are we? Number 4, Ashburn. Ashburn is just another perennial favorite, just always rock solid. Never really jumped up in value, has always been steady, but now it's really seeing a resurgence in price points. So people are getting some really good values there. Ashburn is a great area to invest. Number 3, always rock solid, Mount Greenwood. A lot of firemen and police live in there. Super safe neighborhood, great values, always. I've never seen Mount Greenwood go down. Number 2, one of my favorites, Chatham. And Chatham is going through a lot of growth right now. Values are creeping up in Chatham. Very, very good location. Good place for you to park your money. Number 1, my favorite area is the Beverly Morgan Park area. And the reason why I tacked on Morgan Park is because there's so many definitions and so many different maps of Beverly. Sometimes they include parts of Morgan Park. So the northern part of Morgan Park especially, I like. And anything on Longwood, I love, even in the tail end of Morgan Park. So that's my top 12 list. Sorry I couldn't make an even 10, guys, but deal with it. Now, for extra credit, I've got my top emerging neighborhoods. In no particular order on this, but I do love one of the really exciting areas to watch is the Bridgeport Fuller Park area, because Chinatown is expanding, and they've decided to expand south into those areas. So you've seen a lot of commercial with Chinese writing on it, and you realize that they're pushing in these neighborhoods. I've never seen storefronts at 35th and Halsted that are Chinese owned until recently. So they're moving down there. So and the good thing is a lot of them pay cash, and they pay high values. They need a place to go, and the Chinese community is expanding. And look out, Bridgeport's already expanding in value. Fuller Park is next. That's my secret. Englewood, you've got the opportunity zones. A ton of people are investing in Englewood. If the key with these opportunity zones, guys, if you get the right people driving commercial, like David Doig is doing in that area and in Pullman, look out, because those areas can really come back. Englewood has phenomenal transportation, and it's right by the expressway. I mean, it's tailor-made for comeback. Okay, next, I mentioned the Pullman and West Pullman area. Again, another opportunity zone. One really cool fact, guys, is David Doig, who has his offices over there at US Bank across the street from the Harborside Golf Course, and he has the Method Soap Factory there, the Gotham Greens, and right next to that, this is hard to believe, in West Pullman, they're building a $40 million spec commercial property in West Pullman. That would never be done without these opportunity zones, without the tax relief. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in all of the opportunity zones. But I'm more excited about areas like Englewood and Pullman and West Pullman, because you have to have drivers in there that are driving the commercial part of the wing, and you do in those two areas. Some of these other areas, they just haven't had the traction. You can have all the programs in the world, but if you don't have the right people in place to make it happen, then it's not going to happen, as shown by plenty of these government programs over the years, like the MMRP program that's still around. It's just not getting the right traction. Washington Park is making a huge huge increase. It's all surrounded again by that Kenwood, Gap area that's pushing values. You know, people are just spilling over into the Washington Park. Another good area to look at, and it's you know, spilled over from the Hyde Park crew too. They're entering into there. Another area is Gage Park. It took a really bad beating over the years, and because a lot of gangs, that's been cleaning up, and now that's really coming back, and that area is just booming in value. So that's it, guys. That's my South Side clip on areas that you should be looking to invest in where you're not going to get hurt. Because a lot of people, you know, they're like, hey, I love the North Side, or I love the suburbs where I live in. I know those areas. I know what I'm going to get, but I don't know the South Side. Well, now you got a little snippet of information. If you're going to come down here, you're going to, these are areas you're going to look at. And if you need help, I'll be more than happy to help you out. You can hire me. You can reach me on my cell phone at 708-307-0777. I have a full staff of 3 admins. I have over 20 agents on my team. We rock and roll every day. Again, my cell phone is 708-307-0777. So guys, let me pull my next chapter is where do you buy properties from? Where do you get them, right? Because you've got, everybody is like, hey, you know, I've been going to the MLS and I get beat out. You're getting beat out because people are doing things differently than you are. They're overbidding for the property, or B, they're doing some things differently. Now here's what I recommend. I'm going to tell you 2 things I recommend. Come in with your highest offer. Don't play games, because there's none of that going on. A lot of times, some of these banks will just they won't even counter for highest and best. They're just going to take the highest offer. And I'm telling you right now, there are anywhere from 20 to 50 offers. If a property is really good, there's going to be a ton of offers on it. And the market's glutted with investors right now. So you have to come in with your highest offer always, and come in with at the highest down payment you can. Most people are coming in with $1,000, couple thousand. If you could come in with $10,000, you're going to shine above everybody else. Bankers are looking for a reason to eliminate offers. And if they all are about the same and you're putting $10,000 down, and you have more skin in the game, banks are going to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to give this guy a shot, because if he walks away from the deal, he loses $10,000. Makes sense. So yeah, if you're going to play in the MLS game, understand that it's a very, very, it's the most competitive I've ever seen in the 36 years I've been in the business. It's crazy. Can you get properties? Yeah, we used to get about 20 a month. You know, now we're probably getting about 5 a month, but we also get beat out. We get beat out by some of the buy hold guys, and we get beat out by a lot of people that don't know what they're doing. They're hiring the wrong agent that doesn't know the area, doesn't know the prices, are overvaluing the ARVs and getting the investor to pay up on it. And then they find out later, whoops, now what do I do? That's why there's a lot of inventory that has been bought since 2006 that's sitting on the market, because a lot of investors have overpaid thinking that they knew what they're doing, or they got bad advice. Another way you can find properties is go on the MLS, have an agent research for you, for you, and chase down sellers. We do this all the time. So if you're interested in this, we can find you properties. These are properties that have been closed, that are not rehabbed, that are sitting vacant, and there's a reason they're sitting vacant. And so that's another one way. We work a lot with Cook County Land Bank, so we get a lot of, you know, they have a website. We buy properties on their website. We buy property. They have a private list that they sell to, that they send to select people, which I am one. And so I do have access to that list. And if anybody's interested in that, I'm more than welcome to give me a call. Again, my cell number is 708-307-0777, and I'll be happy to help you. You know, we do a lot of business with the sheriff's sale now. We buy a ton of properties down at the sale. I know what a lot of you are thinking, well, I don't have the cash, or I don't have all the cash. Not a problem. Barnet Capital actually will finance 50% of the purchase of a tax certificate. So if you feel like you've got some money saved up, but you don't have enough, Barnet Capital can help you. They'll come in and give you 50%, and then once it goes to deed, they'll give you more. They'll give you a higher percentage of loan to cost and loan to ARV. So that's somebody that you want to contact, Barnet Capital. This is one of the things that a lot of people don't understand. Hey, how do I play? And you know, we drive by probably about 500 homes a month and identify the really good ones and go after them. So if this is something that you want to do, feel free to call me, and we'll be glad to put you on to that list and our analysis. And the one thing that's great about us that separates us is that I have 36 years of experience. My partner has 38. Well, all we're doing is looking at homes all day long and valuing them. And it's separate. We're separated because we value homes differently. A lot of agents will go up to a year to value a property, and some of these houses may have been selling for a lot more a year ago than now. Some of these markets have shifted. So it's important for you to have an agent like myself. We're looking, you know, I try to look at 2 months, no more than 2 months, and I look at properties that are deal pended and properties that are active, because those markets are those properties are going to affect the value by the time you buy it, rehab it, resell it. You know, that's going to be about 6 to 7 months. So the properties that sold for a year ago are going to be off the radar for an appraiser, so it doesn't matter. A lot of agents don't understand that. So you really, my rule of thumb is always, I go 2 months back, and hopefully I can find 3 comps. If not, then I'm looking at what's deal pending, ready to close. And if there's a shift, let's say there's a couple guys that are bailing out and selling stuff for 20 grand less, I know that's going to affect value. So we take that in consideration. We're very, very conservative with our structure, with our estimates, because we don't want to take any chances. Now, if the market's going up, you know, and I see light at the end of the tunnel, it's different. Then we will get more aggressive, but we're always looking to see the facts and look at what the market's doing. Another thing, of course, the auctions. We do very well in the auctions. There's auction.com, there's XHome, HubZoo, read my list here, make sure I get them all. HomePath, Hudson and Marshall, Taza Homes, HUD and VA. And trust me, these are all, you know, it's up and down. One minute they're hot, the next minute there's nothing. 1 minute they're hot, the next. So you have to, if you want to be a successful investor, you have to be doing your homework. And if you don't like to do this work, or you don't have the time to do this work, you may be better off pairing up with another person that has time and loves doing the work. And that may be the best way for you to survive in this market, because there may be a property popping up at auction.com one day, the next day it may be at XHome. And if you're limiting yourself to just 1 or 2 of the venues, you're not going to expose yourself to the highest chance of getting as many properties as you need to fulfill your needs. So you have to be all in on this, and it may mean hiring or partnering up with someone. Another thing we do, I've got about 30 bird dogs. I get properties every day, off-market properties, and this is really where it's coming at, and this is where it's going at. So I've got relationships with a lot of non-realtors that are out there tying up properties legally, and I got relationships with agents as well too. So a lot of agents know that we buy properties, so they're going to call us when they get a deal. So, you know, one of the most important things you need to do is when you go to the 3-day, when you go to Andrew Holmes' events, when you go to Hugo's events, you need to make sure that you're that you're working the room, you're networking. And if you're not networking, then that's the most important thing you can do when you gather with a group of people is network and find people that can help your business. If you don't do that, you've epically failed the purpose of the meeting. You can listen, you can listen to all everything I say, and that's cool, and adopt some stuff. But most importantly, if you don't create relationships, in fact, I will even say, if you're if you're a bird dog and you want to get some recognition, I'm sure Hugo's okay with this. If somebody wants to post their name on the Zoom group chat and say that you're you're a bird dog and you find properties, or if you're an investor, you need properties and you want to leave your number. I would imagine Hugo's okay with that. But that's what you need to do. So that is the most important thing. When I go to meetings, I love giving information away, but I also love creating more relationships. That's the name of the game, right? So bird dogging is important to find those guys or girls. Notes, it's another thing that's a lot more complicated, a lot more sophisticated, and when we buy them bulk. So that's a big boy league. You can find properties on some of these internet sites like Zillow, Trulia, Craigslist. So it requires a lot of work. It requires daily checking, but there are deals out there. Now here's one cool trick, guys. The hard money lenders are always taking properties back. Because why? Because there's people that don't know what they're doing, and they get a loan, and then they don't finish the project. The property goes back to hard money lenders. A lot of times I'll get a call, they'll finish the project and they'll list it with me because they know I'm the king of the South Side, baby. But they do have projects that never get off the ground and that need full rehab. So keep in mind, guys, hard money lenders and local banks too. Find the local banks, find the hard money lenders, create a relationship with them. Tell them, hey guys, I'm looking, I'll come work, I'll come get a loan with you. I'll be more than happy to do it with you if you can, if you keep me in mind when you find a property, a buyback. And I'm specific. Tell them where you're looking to buy properties. Tell them, hey, look, I'm not afraid to go on the South Side. A lot of these lenders will pair up or recommend me because they know that my exit strategy is awesome. Okay, a couple other cool things. Look, don't always be stuck on what a property is. So in other words, if it's a 2-flat and you think, wow, man, if I do this 2-flat, it's going to cost me too much money. There's no back end value. Look at the 2-flat as a single family. Hey, let me deconvert this. And wow, I could get $100,000 more if I sell it as a single family. I know it's crazy, it makes no sense, but a lot of areas you can get a lot more money for a 2-flat deconversion, and people love deconversions because why? The upstairs, unlike a standard bungalow, has higher ceilings, and they're not crooked ceilings like a Cape Cod. So keep in mind, another way to create inventory is look at 2-flats and say, can I make this a single family? And is there a market for it? Is there an ARV market out there for it? Another little trick. Another thing too is you can buy a building, a 4-flat building, and check your values out. Condo conversions. We've had a lot of success with condos. They sell like hotcakes. Another option. Think outside the box. How am I going to find inventory? Oh yeah, another way is look for different markets. We're in Northwest Indiana right now. We're killing it in there. Big market. Lot of action going on in Northwest Indiana. We're expanding. I was the king of the South Side for many years. Now I'm the king of the world, baby. So what I mean is, yeah, we're expanding into the suburbs, the North Side. We closed some stuff in Schaumburg and Skokie and all over the place. So we're not afraid to go anywhere now. And we're expanding because you have to do that. If you want to do volume, you have to go outside of your comfort zone now, because yes, there's less inventory out there, and another way to combat that is to expand your area. So think about it. Maybe the South Side is for you guys. We're definitely getting solid returns. The cool thing about the South Side is it's always steady. There's always business on the South Side. I know the South Side like the back of my hand. My partner has got 2 more years. Whoa. Sorry about that, guys. Left my volume on. And so let me turn that off for you guys. So this won't happen again. There we go. Problem solved. Okay. That concludes our tour on the buy side. Now, let's talk about a couple of cool shifts that are going on. Coming to a theater near you shortly are iBuyers. IBUYERS. Look it up. And specifically, check out OpenDoor, because OpenDoor will be landing in Chicago, middle of June is their target date. And then they're going to be launching in the fall. And they have a really weird, different, I should say, business model. So they look for properties in very good areas that need very little work. And their target goal is to get them at a 15% discount, to give them a haircut and shave, carpet, paint, put them back on the market at retail, and look to get a 1 to 2% return. Now, they're doing very well in certain areas out west, like Las Vegas, where you've got all those stuccos, and I can't tell, I don't know where I am, and it all looks the same to me. So it's more homogeneous. Let's see how good they do here in the Chicagoland area. Yeah. I think that model is going to be changing quickly here. And I think it's going to have a limited life cycle, kind of like with Blackstone and the other hedge funds came parading in, and they did that, the technology-driven buys and all that jazz, and they lasted for about 2 years. Now they've gotten out of the buy business, and they're in the lending business. So they're Finance of America, and a couple other companies are out there that spawned from not being able to do this on a national level. One of the most important things, guys, is boots on the ground. See, some of these technology companies, they talk about, hey, we can tie the property up right away for you and lock it up, and you kind of have an unfair advantage that way. However, once you get inside and look at the property, you find out that this has got a low ceiling, or the staircase is too narrow. This doesn't work. It's going to be a lot more money than I thought it was. The bedrooms really aren't what they said on the MLS. They're a lot smaller. So using technology has its place for speed, but you need boots on the ground. If you're working with technology only, you don't have an advantage. The only way you have an advantage with technology is if you're using a pro like myself that can go and look at the building quickly and evaluate and tell you if it's a good deal. Because if you're tying properties up without seeing them and then backing out, and you do it on a regular basis, what's going to happen is they're gonna recognize your name, and next time you come, they're not going to take your offer when you're in a multiple situation. So you need both. You need technology and you need boots on the ground. But more importantly, ultimately, boots on the ground. Without us, you'll never be successful in the long run, because we can determine. We're artists. It's more than X's and O's. I've seen properties. Here's an example. I saw a property that we bought in Beverly, and it was on one end of the street. Really nice bungalow. I think we sold it for like $2.25. Another one at the other end of the road, other end of the block. I'm sorry. Same footprint, identical house, probably the same builder. Right next to 11-unit building. This 11-unit building was dilapidated. And so with my 36 years of experience, I knew right away this thing's not going to sell for $2.25. It's going to sell for substantially less, probably about $195-ish. And consequently we didn't pay. We didn't get it. We didn't go after that one because we were going to pay a lot less. And the seller refused to take it because they're like, hey, you guys bought that one down the street for 60 grand, and that's what I want. So somebody bought it, and I got a phone call a year later after we closed ours, and this guy said, hey, I'm the owner of such and such property. I'm like, yeah, okay, I know the property. And he said, well, what's wrong with my property? I said, your rehab is beautiful. I mean, it's equal to ours. It's gorgeous. He says, why hasn't mine sold? I says, because you're way overpriced. He goes, what? We've got it listed for the same price. I said, really? I said, do you have the same product though? The difference is, yes, you do. You are listed for the same price, but you're a different product because even though it's on the same block, you're right next to a dilapidated 11-unit building. Guess what? Mama don't want to live next to a dirty, rundown building where she knows there's probably people coming out of the building, yelling and screaming at night, and all that brings into play. So the house did sell for right about where I said it was going to sell for, but it took about a year and a half to sell it. So not only did this guy lose his profit, but more importantly, he lost the biggest loss in real estate is time on the market. Because if you can flip something in 6 months and compare that with 18 months, you could have done 2 more deals. So you could have done, in that time period, that my guy's going to do 2 more deals, and he had just 1 deal, and he took a bath on the property because he was not aware that there's certain things that affect value. So yes, there's things on the outside as well as on the inside that affect value. If you're right across the street from a school, commercial, a shopping center, that all affects value. And there's no one rule of thumb, but through the years of experience, I know that roughly how much a situation is going to be affected by value. Each deal has its own merits. Now, granted, you have, you could be near you could be on a main street, you could be near a railroad tracks, and I've seen appraisers subtract 5 to 20,000 for those outside detractions. So, when you're out buying a house, like technology can't take those things into consideration. We do. So technology will say, okay, X's and O's. You've done one down the streets 2.25, but see, this is where you need a pro to come in and say, hey, look, yeah, you're right. That thing should sell for 2.25, but it's not going to sell for 2.25 because technology cannot pick up on the fact that there's a dilapidated 11-unit building, or there's a school, or there's railroad tracks. That technology does not have the brain to do all that. This is an art. This isn't just all numbers. This isn't all science, guys. This isn't a simple math equation, 1 + 1 = 2. Sometimes 1 + 1 = 4, or 1 + 1 = -4. So you have to have boots on the ground. It is the most vital thing. Technology is great. It's cool. I got no problem with it. And it enhances the transaction and also verifies a lot of information and brings information to you very quickly. But at the end of the day, you need to take all these things into consideration. There's a lot of things that we talked about as far as the outside is concerned that can affect the value. Commercial, railroad tracks, highways, busy streets are massive factors. If you're, I've had people come to me, they bought a house, they're the only house in the block, and there's all like massive, 24, 48 unit buildings. That house is virtually worthless. When they come and ask me to list it, I tell them, look, I'm going to do you a favor. You need to rent this out. Okay, you need to rent it out because the number that I'm going to tell you this thing is worth, you're probably going to slap me. So I haven't gotten slapped yet, but I've also have declined listings You know, when people tell me, well, you know, all these other properties have sold for $200,000. I'm like, you're lucky if you get $150,000 for it. You know, there's nobody out there that's going to want to live on in a house surrounded by all multi-unit buildings, and they're out there. So, you know, you have to take that into consideration when you're buying. Now, if you don't know what you're doing and you're hiring someone that doesn't know what they're doing and they get you in those situations, you're going to lose your ass. Trust me, and I've seen it. And I've seen good people. I've seen it, successful people in other venues get crushed in this market because they don't understand the complexity. This isn't something that's simple. This isn't like HGTV, you know, like they make everything look, they have all these BS, you know, problems, and they try to overcome them. They always, you know, they always win. They always do great. It's not that simple, guys. It's very, very complex. And if you think for a second that you're just going to do this on your own, you're going to get educated, and it's going to cost you a lot of money. Stick with the professionals, guys. Okay, so shifts in the market. Just finishing back on that, and then we'll go more into the buy end. Another cool thing is there's a lot of hard money lending. I mentioned the hedge funds coming in the market, the Finance Americas, the Lehman Ones, all these companies are coming in. They're offering great rates, 8% for lending on hard money. I mean, those are, you know, back in the day, you know, there used to be it used to be 16, 18% with a lot of points. I always call those guys partners. I'm like, I don't know why you guys call yourself hard money lenders. You're partners. At the end of the day, you take about 50% of the income. So the cool thing now is that a lot of the hard money lenders are getting closer and closer to actual bank loans. So that's kind of cool. You know, that's a shift in the market, which allows you to be more aggressive. So the important thing is, if you have a high rate, start shopping for other hard money lenders that can save you money, because then you can become more aggressive. Because you have to figure, you know, you have to take your cost of holding the money into effect on your bottom line number. So the better, the lower the rate, the better your return is, or the more aggressive you can get with a purchase, and the higher probability or propensity you have to get that property. Makes sense, right? Okay, rent control. See you later. That's gone. One cool program, Home Partners of America. So I really like that program. You go to their website, they tell you what areas that they will invest in. So basically, if you bring them a buyer as a realtor, if you bring them a renter, now, and they have a 550 credit score or better, that's as of today, that's their standard. And they found a house that's approved in the area that they will buy the house. The agent gets the commission. The person can move and rent. And what's cool about this is that person that's renting can move into a really great area, enjoy renting a house, and have 5 years to buy the house. So they have a program, and a tiered program. Every year goes up a little bit. The rent goes up a little bit, and the price of the house goes up a little bit. But it gives somebody a chance that couldn't buy right now for whatever reasons. They're starting out. They haven't established credit, or they had an interruption and their credit's bad. It's a really cool program. Check it out. Home Partners of America. It's also a way, you know, that you can get rid of some of your inventory. Home Partners of America can buy your properties if you have a renter in place that qualifies and that wants your house. They'll come in and buy it. Now they buy, you know, they don't pay 100% value, but they're right around 95%. So you get a pretty good return, and they're cash buyers, and they close it quickly. So good way for you to get rid of that inventory that you're having a hard time getting rid of. Check it out. Home Partners of America. Okay, so, you know, I mentioned some of the exterior stuff. You know, you go, let's talk about interior. So again, this is something that technology can't catch. We walk in the house, we're looking at a modern day layout. We know we have to move walls. We may even have to get rid of staircases. Some of these bungalows were designed for storage only in the attic. So guess what? The average staircase width on a lot of these bungalows are 30 inches, and they do a U going upstairs. How in the world can you get big furniture up there? If you have king size furniture, you're screwed. I almost drove off the road. I was laughing so hard. I was driving down this one of these streets. I can't remember. I think it was Paulina, somewhere in Paulina, and I saw this front window out. There's upstairs. There was a huge window that was just completely removed, and they're hoisting up their king size furniture. So I knew what the deal was. I knew that had a staircase that wasn't moved or modified to today's standards. You know, back then, when all they're using it for storage, it doesn't matter how wide the staircase. You just had to get enough room for you to be able to walk up there and throw your boxes up there, right? Today is a different ballgame. Today, people want the suites. They want to utilize the upstairs of a bungalow. They want to have that vacation feel when they go upstairs, have the spa feel when they go in the bathroom, right? And so they want to bring in their big furniture. So we will, depending on the area, how much space we have, we will rebuild a staircase or even move it to create a 36 to 42 inch wide staircase. And then if you have that and it's a straight shot, you can bring anything up. So, you know, those are costs that you need to take in consideration. You know, another cool thing, I like to put bathrooms on every floor. You know, a lot of people don't like going up and down the stairs in the middle of the night. You know, those of us that go use the bathroom a few times during the night, when we're looking at houses, we're like, wait a minute, there's no bathroom in the attic. Oh, they cut that corner upstairs. You know, there's a master bedroom with no bathroom. I'm not buying that house because I'm not going up and down the stairs in the middle of the night. So, you know, one of my rule of thumbs is get a bathroom on every floor. And another kiss of death is if you have a house with only one bathroom. Now, if it's a really tiny house, like a condo size, okay. But if you have a typical ranch or Georgia, whatever, if you have one bathroom, you're in trouble. And that house is going to sit, and it's going to sell for a lot less. That's one of the biggest value killers that you can do on the inside is cut your number of bathrooms to one. I mean, unless you've got a tiny house and you can't do anything, okay. You know, it is what it is. You know, I've seen some houses like in Ashburn or Beverly. There's small ranches on slabs. You can't, you know, they're 2-bedroom, 1 bath. But I know that we'll get them for a right price, and there's a market out there for people that will pay that, you know, the certain dollar amount just to live in, which is very affordable to live in Beverly, and they don't really need a lot of space, and they're cool with 1 bath, and they're a single person or an empty nest or what have you. But otherwise, you are shooting yourself in the foot, and you're going to lose a lot of money. Okay, so those are some of the major deals. And you know, the other thing too is don't skimp on the bathrooms and the kitchens. And a lot of times, what we'll do is we'll take a bed. If there's a small like galley kitchen and there's a bedroom near that, we will take that bedroom and bust out the walls, and we'll make a huge kitchen. You know, today's standards, people, you know, women want the you know, the bling bling in the bathrooms, and they want the big kitchens, the modern kitchens. I mean, that's when you think about when you have a party over your house, everybody congregates in the kitchen or outside on the patio. So it's a catering to today's standards, to what people really want. So those are things that add value, that make the houses sell quickly. Some of the major things. Now, when you're looking at comparing apples to apples, so let's say, hey, look, okay, Frank, what's my house worth? So you say, hey, look, I saw this house down the street. It's the same footprint, and so I look it up. I'm like, well, you know what, Mr. Investor, it isn't. It's actually 400 square feet bigger. And the average cost assigned per square foot by an appraiser in this area is $40. So 40 by $40 times 400 square feet is that house is worth $16,000 more in an appraiser's eyes. So when you're valuing your property, you have to look at square footage is important. Number of bathrooms is important. So, you know, I have guys that, they may have 2 baths in a house, and this other house has 3 baths. So I'm like, look, if it's a full bath, it's going to be $7,510 grand. If it's a half bath, it's going to be about $5,000. So, you know, we're going to have to subtract that off to get the true value. Now we can ask more, and if the sun, moon, and stars line up and we get it, great. But know this going into it, what an appraiser more than likely is going to give you for the value of the house is going to reflect in, you know, the square footage, the number of bedrooms, the number of bathrooms. You know, bedrooms I've seen, depending if they're above grade or below grade, I've seen the values assigned anywhere from 2,000 to 5,000. So you start subtracting and adding, and you get a truer sense of what the property is worth. So again, you know, when you have boots on the ground, when we go value properties, we look at the comps, but we're looking at it like an appraiser looks at it. What on the outside is affecting the value. There's many times where a house is going to be worth more. And, you know, that's when I have the good news. Hey, I don't care if that thing sold for $180,000. This house is worth $200,000 because you're going to be doing this. You're going to be adding this bathroom in, and it's got X amount of square footage. So it can work for you at times too. But if you don't know that, then you don't get that. So, and you don't ask for it. Even if you win the house and you don't realize, hey, you know, I can actually ask for more because I do have these extra amenities and this extra space, and I will be awarded that value because this is what appraiser is going to say in the area. Guys, this is complicated stuff. That's why you need to hire an expert. Now, some really cool things when you're investing in a house and you have a bad appraisal come back. So I'm sure some of you have had some crazy things happen. I'm going to throw a couple bones out at you that will give you a little sense of relief. There's a FHA Directive. It's 24 CFR 203.37A. And what that states is if the first appraisal comes in and the second appraisal, and you need a second appraisal because it's bought and sold within the first 180 days at a certain amount of value greater than what you bought it at, which is basically every rehab. So if you bought and rehab the house and sold it within 6 months, FHA is going to require 2 appraisals. So if the second appraisal comes in 5% or less, so in other words, first appraisal comes, I sell a house for $200,000. First appraisal comes in for $200,000. I'm like, okay, here we go, baby. So then the second appraisal comes in for $190,000. I'm good because this FHA directive says that the banks are required to take that first appraisal because that is what's structured in the directive. Now, a lot of loan officers don't know this, and they're shooting me an email back. We need an adjustment. We need an addendum signed. I'm like, no, we don't. Here's why. I'm going to send you this. Please give it to your underwriter. And then, like within 48 hours, I'm like, oh, I hear, oh, okay, yeah, all right, dude. Wow, I didn't know this. Never heard of it. But yeah, you got your value at $200,000. That's why you hire me. So okay, there is the Fannie Mae Directive as well to 301.03, and that's a really cool one because I'm sure some of you, especially you that do volume, have been dinged with this, where they strike right. The other comps, the comps that they use have had sellers concessions, and say let's just round it up to an even number. Let's say all 3 comps. Comp 1, 2, and 3 had all three sellers have paid a concession of $5,000 to the buyer's closing cost. So what they used to do is they used to subtract those out. You know, back when the market crashed, they were doing this in early 2000s. And so then that whole thing sunsetted, that whole goofy rule sunsetted. And now the Fannie Directive says if it is customary in the area, hello, the South Side, it's customary for sellers to pay the concessions. Then if your seller is paying a concession, we won't subtract that off value. And I see it so often, and I fight for my clients, and normally we get it. The only time we don't get it is if the bank itself, the underwriter itself, does not like the area and they redline the area. And that happens, sadly enough, it happens. And guess what, guys? I got a couple of cards up my sleeve. I have a mortgage company that will take the deal and they will dismiss the appraisal. Because they have their own staff and they will not accept something that's not on their staff appraisal. There's also conventional 3% down programs all over the place. And there's one with no PMI. So we get, we actually get a better deal for a buyer and we switch them over to that. So those are two options. Also, I can go back to the current situation and say, hey guys, the first appraisal came in good. The second appraisal came in below the 5%. Okay, I rebuttal the appraisal. And if I don't get it, if that AMC, the appraisal management company, says we're not taking it, we're not changing it, then I call the loan officer up and say, look, we don't think that this is substantiated. And a lot of times the loan officer says, yeah, hey man, I agree with you. This is ridiculous. I said, talk to your powers to be and ask them, can we do a third appraisal? And if we do a third appraisal and it lines up with the first appraisal, will you accept that? A lot of times they'll do that. So don't throw in the towel. If you get a bad appraisal, you don't always throw in the towel. Ask, if you have a good rebuttal and you have facts and the AMC doesn't want to change it, they can always get another appraisal. That's totally allowable with FHA. A lot of people don't know that, and a lot of people end up taking a lower value, and that affects, and so that's why you got to watch out when you are buying homes, because sometimes a house maybe right down the street from you, closest to your house that you're interested in buying, just got a bad appraisal, and it came in a lot lower. And the seller decided, screw it, I'm going to close the deal anyways. I move out. The only problem with that is, or the most important thing about that, is that it affects the values. So now if this comes in 20,000 less, it's going to substantially affect your value, possibly up to 20 grand, especially if it's like right next door. Appraisers hold a lot more weight on that than they will something that's further away. The closest house to your appraiser and the closest style, most similar style, is the house that they hold the most weight on. So these are a lot of things that you can't just get through a computer generated thing. You can only get through an expert, boots on the ground like myself. All righty. Let's see. Oh yeah, a couple other things. So ceiling height, guys. A lot of houses, a lot of bungalows, some of the other style homes have low ceilings in the attic and the basement. Now, you don't pick that up online or through technology. You can only pick that up by boots on the ground, having somebody there. So if you have a low ceiling in the basement, that could be another $20,000, $25,000 in your budget. So you need to get out and look at these properties and have somebody professionally price these things out because you may inherit a no-win situation. You may end up breaking even or losing money, and you can't survive that with doing that, obviously. So these are things when you're out looking at properties, make sure that you check the ceiling heights in the attics and the basements. And one other thing too is when you have an appraiser coming out to your property, make sure that the appraiser has done business in the area. So I always ask him, have you done anything in the last 90 days? And if it's no, then I said, how about the last year? No. If it's the last 2 years, no. I'm like, okay, cool. We'll give you a call back. I call the loan officer up and I say, hey, this guy doesn't, and this is their language. I say, this guy or this woman does not have geographical competency. They haven't done any business in there for 2 years. I want you to spin the wheel and give me another appraiser. And I will do that till I get somebody that understands the area. If you have somebody that understands the area and has done the area, you have a higher propensity of getting your value. If you get some guy flying from the northwest suburbs and he spent $30 in gas one way, he's not going to be in the best mood, and he doesn't know the area. And I've seen appraisers use comps from across a major expressway to verify value just because they're too lazy or they don't know what they're doing. So make sure you have an appraiser that actually knows the area, that's actually done business in the area and understands the different areas. Very important. Okay, onward and upward. So nobody has problems with contractors, right? Yeah, so you can shut the volume off here, right? Wrong. So one of my pet peeves is contractors, and I don't like bad contractors, and there's a lot of them out there, and there's a lot of guys that charm their way in, and they're so believable, and they come across so honest, and those guys are the worst guys in the world, right? So when I get 3 bids on a property and 2 of them, say for example, are like one guy's at 62.5, another guy's at 64, then the third one's at 40,000. I immediately eliminate that 40,000 because I know that guy has not done his homework and he doesn't know what he's doing, and he's probably, that's probably his cost, or maybe not even his cost. So I will not take something like that and a deal like that. Those guys that come under normally end up doing shoddy work and normally end up actually going way over the 60, the other bids, man, 20, a lot of times 20% over. So if you get a bid that seems like it's too good to be true, that's because it is too good to be true. Keep that rule of thumb and keep walking. Stay away from those guys. I always interview people when we meet somebody, and I want to get 3 referrals. I'd love to see a website. I want to see insurance, and I want to talk to 3 other people that they've done business with, and I'd love to get my eyeballs on current jobs they've done or current jobs they've done and they've closed on the MLS. Now, if all that lines up, and some guys just looking to expand, we have a winner. Now, the one thing you got to be careful of too, and I always, when I'm always interviewing contractors, I get a baseline at the beginning. Hey, how many deals do you think you can handle a month? So they're going to shoot out a number. We'll just say 3, for example. Hey, I can do 3, hammer out, get on time, and all that. And then when they show up on my doorstep one day, and they say, hey, I'm ready to take it to the next level, I look at them, I said, cool, what does that mean? I mean, you're doing great work, you're killing it, people love you. Well, I want to do twice as amount of work. I'm like, go ahead. And they're like, well, can you give me more work? I said, well, what have you changed? And they're like, what do you mean? I said, well, if your max, you told me your max is 3. How are you going to do 6? Did you hire another crew? Did you hire a GC to manage your stuff? So you're pulling away and you're like you have a sub GC or something. What's changed? Because what's happened is I've seen a lot of great contractors want to scale up, and they're not business people, so they don't know how to run a business. They're good at what they do. They're good at their craft, but they're not good at being a businessman or businesswoman, and they end up crashing and burning, and they take your money. And another thing, for God's sakes, don't give them a lot of money up front. When another big red flag is, well, I need $40,000 to start. Well, more than likely they need that kind of money because they probably owe somebody else money. So guess what? That $40,000 is probably, you're going to probably get 20 grand of it. Then you have to come up with another 20 grand to make up for the 20 grand that he spent covering somebody else that he owed. So do not give a lot of money up front. Try to, what the ideal contractor is someone that says, hey, I need 15,000 for all these materials, and then I need you to pay my payroll this weekend. Hey, that's cool, baby. Now you got somebody that is structured and is responsible and is a businessman. You got to keep her there. Just make sure they don't get too excited and start getting too big, where they start getting behind and start getting overextended. Another huge problem, because there's bad guys out there, but there's good guys that turn into bad guys by default. So yeah, that concludes our. Oh, one other thing too. So you wonder how do I find contractors? And you can go online and all that jazz, but the best way is if you're out looking at houses, you're driving around, look for the white trucks, jump out of your car, go up, knock on a door. You get a chance to see the inside. Tell them, hey, look, I'm looking to hire some guys. You want to do more work, but make sure they're not maxed out, right? So, but that's a great way to find contractors. That's how we started building, and I've got about 35 crews, and in those crews they have multiple crews. So there are a lot of good ones out there. We take our time. When somebody comes to me, it's a process. I'm not going to fall for the slick tongue anymore like I've done in the past. Learn my lesson, trust me. Reselling properties is also important. There's a lot of agents out there that put the sign in the ground and they list and leave it. And they hope the almighty internet and the almighty MLS sells it. Well, obviously we're going to put a sign in the ground. We're going to throw it on the MLS, and it's going to populate on all the different sites that support real estate. We're on stories with all that stuff. We also do professional pictures. We do drone videos. We have a lot of success moving properties with that. I have over 13,000 people because I've been around forever on my database. We're always marketing out to our database. I always have around 75 people in credit repair that are popping out, and we get instant buyers. I do a ton of Facebook advertising. I spend thousands of dollars a month on that. That is the hottest thing right now, better than Zillow, Trillia, or anything like that. We get a much better return. We're investing in our business. We spend money, credit repair. We know all the programs. I get a buyer that another cool thing is I got a buyer that falls apart on the deal that somebody brought me. I always tell agents, let them go to one of my people and have them take a look at it. A lot of times, hey, we just got a deal that just fell apart, and my guy took the entire package from the other loan officer and closed it in 11 days. So I know my products, and I'm obsessive compulsive about knowing everything out there, because that's important. That's how you get more deals done. Another thing too is I have an underground email that I send to agents of my properties, my current properties, and properties getting close to hit the market. So a lot of times we pre-sell properties. We throw properties on a private listing network, and the cool thing about that is you can pre-sell a property without getting market time. So the MLS has the private listing network that only agents see, and agents that have pre-approved buyers are coming there and are buying our listings before they're finished and they hit the market. So cool little things that we do. I'm also ranked #1 by Preview Chicago as the #1 real estate agent for utilizing social media. If you go to my Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, you see what I do, and I'm just a beast.
Awesome.
Hence the shirt, beast mode.
Awesome, Frank.
So yeah. So Hugo, that concludes our tour. If anybody has any questions, or if anybody wants to reach out to me and talk to me later, feel free to. My cell phone is 708-307-0777, and let's talk.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Frank. So friends, Frank gave us so much information, right? So this is the key. In the next 5 to 10 minutes, guess what? I'm going to show you how Frank, let me see. Okay, so thank you, Frank. But now, friends, Frank gave you so much information. Now, in the next 5 to 10 minutes, I'm going to show you how Frank made us over 50,000 in 3 weeks. So in the next 5 minutes, I'm going to show you what you need to do so that everything that Frank talked about, you're going to leverage from it, okay? And he's going to do the work for you so that you can make money. So I'm going to show you that. But before that, I just want to tell you, I met Frank about 2.5 years ago when I first went to the 3-day event. And ever since, Frank has become a great friend, mentor, and coach. So we meet about every 6 weeks to mastermind. So we talk about how we can make you more successful. So Frank has been a great contributor to ChicagoDealVault. So many of the features in ChicagoDealVault are designed, are mastermind on Frank's wisdom and knowledge. And also, he's been a big contributor to the vetted partners. So in the preferred partners tab, most of the categories, all the people that are there, or many of them, have been brought by Frank. As Frank said, friends, real estate is a people's business, is who you know, and you've got to work with the best. So I'm going to show you in the next example how Frank Montro made us over 50,000 in 3 weeks. And I'm going to show you, make sure you pay very close attention what you need to do in ChicagoDealVault so that you are able to replicate exactly the same success. Okay, so having said that, friends, I'm going to show you in the next 10 minutes. So please pay close attention. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to log on to ChicagoDealVault. Okay. So the first thing that you're going to do, okay, is as follows. So you need to take advantage of everything that Frank said. So I'm going to go to Preferred Partners. Okay, and then go on their categories and look for real estate broker right here. So we have Frank's information right here, Frank's website, Frank's email. So you're going to take this information, okay, from here, and then you're going to go on their user settings. So go on their user settings, okay, and then you're going to scroll down. And then on their buyer's broker right here. So you're going to put all Frank's information right here. So he's going to be your default broker. So what does that mean? So when you find a property in ChicagoDealVault and you want to make an offer, you can make an offer and Frank is going to represent you on the transaction. Okay. So this is how I'm going to show you how he made us over 50,000. So this is the first thing that you need to do, okay? Now, the second thing that you need to do is when we send you the replay of this presentation, you're gonna go over every single area that he mentioned, okay? And then you're gonna click on the area reports, right? So he mentioned 12 areas, and also he mentioned emerging markets. So you're gonna query every single one of them so that you understand everything that he talked about. So for instance, he mentioned Beverly, right, as #1. So here we have them all the neighborhoods that he mentioned, we have them all. So do your due diligence, right? Understand the area like the back of your hand, right? Understand crime rates, understand population growth, and most importantly, friends, understand the sweet spot to buy, right? A single family home. And then based on that, so I'm gonna scroll down to the sweet spot to buy a single family home, okay? So once you understand the areas, and if the areas are within your selection area, what you're gonna need to do is come to deal alerts, okay? In deal alerts, you're gonna be able to put all those areas that Frank mentioned, okay? And then you're gonna put a price cap right here, no more than 300,000. So this is, I suggest no more than 250,000. And here you're gonna put the areas that Frank mentioned. So in my deal alerts, you're gonna start to get alerts on the deals, okay? Because we're gonna scan the MLS every 2 hours just for great deals, right? And they're gonna come to your inbox right here, okay? So now, once you have these deal alerts, this is where you need to do a little bit more due diligence very quickly, like I've shown you in the past. But what I'm gonna show you next is an example of a property that Frank made us over $50,000. So we set our deal alerts, then we got the property right here in my deal alerts. I'm gonna show you what that property was. So it's 4722 South Kedville, okay, right here in Chicago, okay? So this property was listed by for 120,000. Actually, no, I take it back. So I'm gonna go into the details of this property. So this property was listed for 113,000. And guess who listed this property? I'm gonna show you. So if you scroll down and go to the details, we're gonna show you who the listing agent was. So the listing agent was Koya Smith, which happens to be the mother of Ryan Smith. Ryan Smith is one of the top REO brokers. And guess what, friends? He's part of ChicagoDealVault. Just like Joe Mueller, he's, again, one of the top REO brokers, and he's also part of the ChicagoDealVault. So we saw the property. It came in our deal alerts. So obviously, right away, we called Ryan Smith, and then we said, okay, Ryan, what would it take to put this together? We need the deal, okay? So he said, okay, Hugo, make the offer 120,000, okay? So as you can see, it's over asking price, but we knew this property was worth over 200,000. I believe this property was back then worth 215,000. Okay, so we made the offer for 120,000. Not only that, but Ryan, he wanted to do dual agency. So meaning he wanted to represent us in the transaction. So obviously we were okay with it. Even though we're a brokerage, we don't mind giving up the commission, right? And guess what? So Ryan and Frank, they know each other. So the next thing that we did, I'm gonna close this and go back to the search result, okay? So what we did is, we put it back on the MLS for 157,000. We didn't do anything to the property, okay? We only put it on the market for about 8 days. But Frida and I thought, and then we said, you know, it doesn't need much rehab. It needs about maybe 20, 25,000 in rehab, and this property is worth over 200,000, okay? So what we did next is we called Frank. I said, Frank, okay, so I need your help. So we need to sell the property, flip the property, and we want you to make us the most money, okay? So he came to the property. He did a walkthrough of the outside and the inside. So he came up with this checklist. He said, Hugo, you've got to do this and this and this and this. So we did exactly as he said, every single thing in the checklist. Okay, and then we gave it to Frank. So he listed the property. And mind you, we are, again, a brokerage, right? So we could have easily put it back on the MLS and try to save on the commission, right? But as I told you before, if we had put it on the MLS for the flip, we would have listed this property for no more than 215, 220. Guess what Frank did? So let me show you. Go to the view details on this property. He listed the property for 249. I was like, I couldn't believe that. But you know what? You've got to trust 36 years of experience, right? The king of the South. So I said, you know, I'm in your hands, Frank. You know what you're doing with this property. So guess what? In 22 days, 3 weeks, he sold it for 230,000, friends. So just do the numbers. So we bought it for 120. We put in about 30,000. So all in 150,000. And he sold it for 230. So that's a spread of 80,000. Obviously, minus commission, minus holding expense. We made a little bit over 60,000 on this deal. So thanks to Frank. Thank you, Frank, by the way. He made us over 60,000 in 3 weeks. The rehab amount, the rehab took about 3 weeks. So a total of 6 weeks. call it eight weeks, 2 months. So in 2 months, thanks to Frank, we made over 60,000, okay, on this flip. So again, friends, so this message of the story is that you've got to work with the best, right? So once you use Frank as your default broker, he's going to be able to negotiate the deal on your behalf. And if the deal happens to be listed by Ryan Smith or Joe Mueller, guess what? Frank can do his magic, right? Work his relationships for you to get the deal, okay? And then not only that, but he's going to turn around and then tell you what you need to do on the property and then list it for you so that he can get you the top dollars on any given property. Okay, so again, I'm just going to quickly summarize. Get Frank's information, go into each area that he recommended and then look them up in the area reports, right? Get familiar with all the areas that he mentioned. Then set them up in the deal alerts, okay? Set all the deal alerts for those areas or the areas that you are comfortable with. And then once you find or we flag deals for you, do the due diligence on the area, on the property itself. And then once you're ready to make an offer, so for instance, if I click on make an offer, guess what's going to happen? So Frank is going to show right here on your buyer's broker. So when you make an offer on this property, guess what's going to happen? Frank is going to get an email with this offer, with the PDF of the 7.0 contract, and he's going to negotiate the deal on your behalf, and he's going to try to get you the deal. It is that simple. So just put Frank's information as the buyer's broker, and then whenever you make an offer right here, he's going to get an email with the offer. So he can help you negotiate the deal. Okay, so I believe there's a question. Are deal alerts only on MLS, or can we set them up on off market? So this is only for, deal alerts are only for MLS properties, okay, friends? But believe me, there are tons of great deals from the MLS, okay? And then Frank can help you get them on the contract. He's going to tell you what to do rehab-wise, because as he said, right, technology can get you so far, right? Even if you see the pictures, right, from the inside, you still need somebody to do the groundwork, right? You need boots on the ground, and Frank and his team can do that for you. So leverage, friends. Leverage from 37 years of experience, right? So this is our goal. We put Frank at your disposal. Use his experience, use his network, use his resources, right? He's part of ChicagoDealVault. He made us over 50,000 in 3 weeks. If he made us that money, he can make you that money and more, okay? Just follow the steps that I told you, and then rewatch the replay that we're going to send you tomorrow, okay? And then just go over everything that he talked about and then put it in practice. Please put it in practice. Make sure you utilize all his resources and experience to your benefit, okay? That's what Frank is there for. He's there for you. He's there for all of us, okay? So let's leverage from all his 37 years of experience, okay? So friends, we're running out of time. So thank you everyone for joining. We're going to send the replay. Frank, thank you very much for joining us tonight. It's been a pleasure, a privilege to have you share your experience, your knowledge. So friends, stay tuned for next week's webinar. Thank you everyone, and have a great night.